Life rarely announces when it will test a man, and becoming a father while carrying unresolved trauma is one of the most demanding trials a human being can face, because fatherhood does not pause for healing, and trauma does not wait for readiness. It collides with responsibility, with bills, with sleepless nights, with the fear of repeating what once broke you. And suddenly the struggle of life becomes deeply personal, as survival is no longer only about enduring for yourself, but about standing firm for another human life that depends on your strength, your decisions, your emotional presence, and your character. And in that moment, a man learns that trauma is not only about what happened to him, but about how it echoes into the future if left unchallenged. Because the cries of a newborn awaken buried memories, old fears, unresolved pain, and silent questions about worth, competence, and identity. Yet this is where growth begins, because becoming a father is not about perfection but about responsibility. Not about having all the answers, but about showing up even when the past feels heavier than the present. And the struggle of life teaches that resilience is built in ordinary moments of endurance, where a man chooses patience over anger, presence over escape, and courage over silence, realizing that surviving trauma does not make him weak, but gives him insight, empathy, and depth that can shape a safer, stronger environment for his children if he commits to healing, accountability, and conscious leadership in his home. Surviving trauma while raising a family demands a level of emotional discipline that society rarely prepares men for, because men are taught to endure silently rather than process openly. Yet fatherhood exposes every unresolved wound, especially when exhaustion lowers defenses and stress amplifies old survival patterns. And the struggle of life becomes learning how to regulate emotions instead of reacting, how to communicate instead of withdrawing, and how to model healthy coping rather than inherited dysfunction. Because children learn more from what they observe than what they are told. And a father who confronts his trauma teaches resilience without saying a word, teaching that pain can be transformed into wisdom, fear into vigilance, and suffering into strength. And while trauma may shape a man's nervous system, it does not define his destiny. Because healing is not erasing the past, but integrating it, learning to breathe through triggers, learning to ask for help, learning to rest without guilt, learning to forgive without forgetting, and learning to stand steady even when memories attempt to pull him backward. And this is where true masculinity is forged, not in domination or emotional absence, but in self-control, integrity, humility, and the willingness to grow for the sake of those who depend on you. Because a father who heals himself does not only survive trauma, he interrupts generational cycles, alters family trajectories, and builds emotional safety that becomes the foundation upon which his children will one day face their own struggles of life with confidence rather than fear. Ultimately, the struggle of life, fatherhood, and trauma survival converge into a single mission: to create meaning from hardship and purpose from pain. Because fatherhood is not about avoiding mistakes, but about repairing them. Not about appearing strong, but about being consistent. And not about suppressing emotion, but about mastering it. And when a man commits to becoming emotionally present, mentally disciplined, and spiritually grounded, he transforms survival into leadership and trauma into testimony, realizing that his past did not disqualify him from being a great father, but prepared him to be one with depth, patience, and compassion. And this realization fuels endurance during long nights, financial pressure, emotional fatigue, and moments of self-doubt. Because purpose sustains where motivation fades, and the legacy supported and valued, which is why masculinity rooted in hard work becomes a stabilizing force in families, communities, and societies, as it rejects laziness, entitlement, and avoidance, choosing instead responsibility, accountability, and long-term vision, knowing that nothing worthwhile is sustained without effort, and nothing meaningful grows without resistance, and nothing honorable is achieved without sacrifice. And so perseverance becomes the daily practice of returning to the task, returning to the promise, returning to the work even when motivation fades. Because masculinity is proven not by how a man feels in the moment, but by how faithfully he acts despite those feelings. Understanding that emotions fluctuate, but commitments must remain firm. And in this discipline, love deepens, strength matures, and character is refined through repetition, pressure, and time. A man who understands perseverance does not romanticize struggle, but he respects it, because struggle reveals truth, stripping away illusions and exposing what remains when comfort is removed. And in that exposure, a man either builds resilience or retreats into excuses, and the difference between the two outcomes is choice, repeated daily, quietly, without witnesses, because strength is built in routines. Masculinity is reinforced in habits, and love is sustained through intentional action, rather than fleeting emotion. And this is why hard work becomes sacred, not merely as labor, but as a declaration of responsibility toward one's life and those connected to it. As every disciplined action becomes a brick laid in the foundation of a stable future, and every act of perseverance becomes evidence that a man can be trusted with weight, pressure, and expectation, which is increasingly rare in a world addicted to immediacy and comfort, yet deeply hungry for dependable strength. And so the man who embraces hard work understands that the process is often lonely, misunderstood, and uncelebrated. But he continues regardless because his motivation is not applause but purpose, not validation but vision. And this clarity allows love to remain steady even when circumstances are unstable. Because love anchored in perseverance does not abandon at the first sign of difficulty but adapts, endures, and evolves, and masculinity expressed through such love becomes protective rather than possessive, firm rather than harsh, and resilient rather than fragile, understanding that true power lies in self-mastery, in the ability to regulate impulse, delay gratification, and remain committed to values even when they cost something. And it is through this mastery that a man earns self-respect, which cannot be given or taken, but is cultivated through consistent alignment between words and actions, effort and outcome, intention and follow through. And so strength becomes not merely physical but moral, emotional, and spiritual, enabling a man to stand upright in adversity, speak truth without cruelty, and love deeply without losing himself, all while continuing the daily work that builds competence, stability, and meaning over time. Hard work, when fused with perseverance, transforms masculinity from a concept into a lived reality, because effort repeated over time reshapes identity, teaching patience, humility, and resilience, and reminding a man that progress is rarely linear but always earned. And this understanding prevents entitlement while nurturing gratitude, as every gain becomes a result of labor rather than luck. And every achievement becomes a reminder of what discipline can accomplish. And within this framework, love is no longer conditional or transactional, but becomes a conscious choice to invest energy, attention, and care despite fatigue, stress, or disappointment. Because love strengthened by perseverance, through shared struggle and mutual commitment, and masculinity expressed through such love becomes a stabilizing presence rather than a volatile force, offering consistency in an unpredictable world. And this is why true strength is calm rather than reactive, steady rather than explosive, and grounded rather than insecure. Because insecurity seeks dominance, while strength seeks responsibility. And it is responsibility that demands the greatest effort, requiring a man to manage himself before attempting to influence others, to confront his weaknesses without self-hatred, and to improve without arrogance, knowing that mastery is a lifelong pursuit rather than a destination. And so perseverance becomes not just endurance, but evolution, the continuous refinement of character through intentional struggle, disciplined effort, and unwavering commitment to growth. And in this process, masculinity matures from bravado into wisdom, from impulse into intention, and from ego into service, while love deepens from attraction into loyalty, from emotion into action, and from desire into devotion, all sustained by the relentless, often invisible work that defines a strong life.